With consumers sharing more and more data about themselves across the internet and specifically on social networks, many companies are rising up in an effort to make use of this data. And one company that is doing this is the Echo Nest, but its primary focus is the music industry. The company uses its music intelligence to power music applications for more than 100 million consumers each month. The Echo Nest recently announced a new API integration with Spotify, and it also announced a partnership with Raditaz, which could pose a threat to Pandora. And Jim Lucchese, the CEO of the Echo Nest, is joining us now by way of Skype to talk about the company, its recent announcements, and music intelligence. Thanks for being with us today, Jim.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, first of all, just in terms of all of this big data, it's clear that people are putting it out there, but how does the Echo Nest aggregate it all?
Sure. So the Echo Nest has been working on the only real big data platform to understand your connections to music for about 5 years. And how we do it is based on the work of our two co-founders, where we have software that can actually listen to music. So we understand the music content, how it sounds, through software that can understand things like the pitch, and the tempo, and the time signature, combined with what we call cultural analysis of music, which is really by understanding what everyone on the internet is saying about music. So what they're blogging, what they're tweeting, music reviews. So we understand the language that's being used about music. And then by combining that cultural understanding and that content understanding, really what we're trying to get at is all of the different things that inform how you connect with music, how you and your friends connect around music. And we take from all that analysis about 5 billion different data points about music, ranging from the tempo of a Rolling Stones song to what the blogosphere is saying about the latest new band to come out of Boston or anywhere around the world, and expose it for application developers that include companies like Clear Channel and Nokia and Spotify and dozens of other companies that create great music experiences for you. So we're really just focused on all of the different data opportunities to really hopefully understand something we all understand intuitively, which is kind of the importance and meaning of people's connections with music.
Very interesting. So is it primarily about discovery, or do you think it really goes beyond that as far as its impact on the music industry?
So discovery is definitely an important part of it. We power music playlisting and discovery for a number of the companies that I just mentioned. But I think there are all kinds of different ways to apply our data platform to create more engaging music applications. So not only can we help understand you as a music fan and help you connect to music that you've never heard before, but we can also help you understand that music in interesting ways, like identifying artists who are generating a lot of buzz on the web. For example, MTV has built an app called the MTV Music Meter that analyzes the blogosphere and social networks to understand the top 100 artists that are generating activity on the web that you've never heard of before. So we're analyzing the familiarity of the artist and the overall buzz to create this discovery chart, or a kind of data-driven chart. We're also doing a lot of work in analyzing your music tastes and your friends' music tastes to help connect people based on their music. So not only discovering music, but as anyone can tell you, music's a great proxy to just who you are and your identity. And so giving people ways to express their musical identity and use that as a way to make social connections is where we see a huge opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, in terms of some of the company's recent news, let's talk about the Echo Nest new integration with Spotify. So what makes this integration different, and what will it mean for both developers and ultimately users?
Sure. So this is our second deal with Spotify. We power Spotify Radio and music discovery on Spotify. And this new deal is really around our developer ecosystem and a partnership among Spotify and the Echo Nest developer platform. So the Echo Nest, all of the data that I mentioned earlier, we expose in a developer API where app developers can build all kinds of interesting applications on top of our data. We have a community of about 13,000 independent app developers. These are small teams or individuals. And this partnership will really map our API and Spotify's API to help connect this community of creative independent app developers to Spotify's content and audience. So I think what you'll see out of that is it makes it much easier for independent application developers to create really innovative ways to interact on Spotify.
And just this week, the Echo Nest said it was also integrating with Pandora competitor Raditaz that just launched in January. So what can you tell us about this partnership and what it hopes to do as well?
Sure. I think Raditaz is looking at some of the interesting approaches beyond just given this artist, generate a playlist of similar artists, looking at things like location and track level information, and even kind of the complexity of the fact that you may like a lot of different artists that may seem very diverse, but generating a station that's really tailored to you in a more integrated way. And they're using our API for a lot of that discovery. And it's a native mobile experience. So I think it's another example of the fact that the concept of music discovery and applying big data to drive music discovery, we're still in the very early stages of what's possible.
Right. Well, it appears that we will see further integrations, but what else can we expect from the Echo Nest going forward?
So I kind of hinted at it earlier. I mean, I think that people's social graphs and people's music preference social graphs are very, very different. And the Echo Nest user taste profiling ability is powering a lot of very interesting, innovative ways to help people make social connections through the lens of music preference. So finding people around the world who really share your music tastes, helping you connect with people and express that music taste is an area where a lot of our larger customers, advertisers, and independent developers are pushing some really interesting innovations. So I think if last year was a lot about music playlisting, I think this year is going to be really characterized by musical identity, how people express it and how people use it to make connections with each other.
And going right along with that, where do you think that this music intelligence really will take the music industry in the future?
Well, I mean, I think in the end, there's a lot of science and math and technology behind it, but the concept is simple, which is just understand your customers better, understand your content better, and understand your customers. And there are such a wide range of stakeholders, from record labels and music publishers to mobile device manufacturers, automotive, advertisers, who all have such a stake in connecting people to music in more engaging ways. And there are, we are hopefully an important part of making that happen. But the real aim is very simple and intuitive, and that is just people feel very passionate about their music tastes, and the more informed you can be in helping to facilitate the connections, the more value you're given to your consumers, your audience.
All right. Well, exciting times ahead for the music industry. Jim, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. Reporting for WebProNews, I'm Abby Johnson.